Greetings of the day. I'm Dr. Magdalene Peter, HOD, Department of Management Studies, Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research. And today, in the subject of business communication in the video lecture series, today I'm going to talk about the negotiating process. So what is negotiation? Negotiation actually is a method by which people settle differences. It is a process by which compromise or agreement is reached while avoiding dispute or any arguments. So the main underlining point is when striving to bring about a compromise between two warring parties, you have to ensure, the negotiator has to ensure that there reaches a compromise without any argument or without any dispute taking place. So, in any disagreement, individuals understandably aim to achieve the best possible outcome for their position. However, the principles of fairness, the principle of seeking mutual benefit, the principle of maintaining a relationship are the keys to a successful outcome. So when you be the negotiator or the mid person trying to bring about a compromise, you have to ensure that fairness of your position is maintained and mutual benefit for both the warring parties is attained, and maintaining a relationship status quo with due respect are the keys to a successful outcome. So specific forms of negotiations are used in many situations: international affairs, the legal system, government, industrial disputes, or domestic relationships are examples. However, general negotiation skills can be learned and applied in a variety range of activities while we are working in a professional setup. Negotiation skills can be of great benefit in resolving differences that arise between us and the other person. So now we'll go about talking about the negotiating process. In determining whether the parties are bargaining in good faith, one must rely on its totality of conduct concept rather than looking at individual actions. So it is very, very important to understand and take into consideration each and every one's point of view when it comes to negotiation, rather than to stick to individual outcomes or individual interpretations or individual outburst. So the totality of conduct is one important measure or one important principle that one has to understand. Next, we have the bargaining in good faith. So that is what I told you. There is some stages of negotiation. So the factors of this totality of conduct that we were talking about is willingness to meet and confer at reasonable times and places. So you have to be willing to meet and to discuss about what is the problem that is at hand. Reasonable authority to negotiate. There has to be a reasonable authority to negotiate. Rejection of the other side's proposals should not be there. There has to be inclusion of the insights or the representations from both the sides, and then only a particular kind of outcome or consensus should be reached. Then a rejection of without extension of counter proposal has to happen. Okay, so these are the bargaining in good faith. Open mind to consider proposals. This open mind is very, very important when a negotiator is trying to negotiate between two warring employees or groups of employees. One has to understand that he comes without any bias. It is not influenced by any other intention apart from bringing about an amicable solution between these two parties. So it has to be an open-minded, very objective standpoint that the negotiator has to take. Then recognition of union's exclusive right to bargain, no direct dealing. So everyone has got the right to bargain and there will be no direct dealing. Then we have the dialectory tactics where the surface bargaining, take it or leave it offers. So these are the things which includes in bargaining in good faith. Then we see about the stages of negotiation. So in the stages of negotiations, in order to achieve a desirable outcome, it must be useful, or it may be useful to follow a structured approach for negotiation. For example, in a work situation, we may need to be arranged in with all parties involved come together. So when all parties are coming together in a work situation, we have to understand that in order to achieve a desirable income, we have to follow a structured approach, a professional approach to reach a kind of an outcome in a warring situation. So the process of negotiation includes various stages. The first stage is preparation. So what do you mean by preparation? So one of the categories of bargaining issue that mandatory is you must talk to me. So such type of authoritative phrases should be avoided while initiating a negotiation. Instead, you can use a permissive stand where you say, please talk to me. Okay, so the prohibited is I can't talk to you. So one person, when they are, you can't be authoritative, you can't be in a very negative kind of an attitude, but you have to, because in a work situation, we have to follow a structured procedure. There is some kind of etiquette that you have to follow. And therefore, when you are being asked to talk, then you have to talk. And asking for talking also should be in a very permissible way. So that is what is shown here. Before bargaining over something can begin, the parties must agree on a mutually acceptable bargaining procedure. So both the parties, so this is in order to accept for a bargaining procedure, it is always better to have a structured negotiation procedure that is being followed in the organization in order to avoid unwanted twisting or customizing of the procedure to suit one own needs or intentions. Okay, so that is why I told you organization, it is always better in order to achieve a desirable outcome to follow a structured approach for negotiation. So the process of negotiation includes various stages. As I told you, the first stage is preparation. So what do you mean by preparation? Before any negotiation takes place, a decision has to be taken as to when, where, the meeting will take place, and the meeting is primarily for the problem that is at hand and to discuss about the problem and who all will be attending the meeting. So setting a time limit and also fixing the place where the meeting will happen will enable or will be helpful in preventing disagreements continuing. So you have to, first of all, preparation stage involves preparing the place where you people will be meeting, and also when they will be meeting and who will be meeting. So these three W's will be answered: when, where, and who. Because if we give them a correct timing and place and all these things, this itself will aid in not creating more confusion. So this stage ensures or involves ensuring all the pertinent facts of the situation are known, first of all, in order to clarify our own proposition. So in the work example, this would include knowing the rules of the organization, to whom help is given, why help is not felt appropriate, and the grounds for this kind of refusals. So all these things has to be understood. So undertaking preparation before discussing the disagreement will help to avoid further conflict and unnecessarily wasting time during the meeting. So this is the first stage of preparation, where the meeting will happen, when it will happen, who all will be attending the meeting, what is the background of the story, what is the background of the two parties who are warring with each other. So all these things will be spoken about and deliberated on in the stage one. Stage two is all about the discussion stage. So in the discussion stage, we have in stage one, we can see that in any one of the three places, the meeting can happen. It could be yours, the other party, or the own part, theirs, or somewhere else. It could be if two parties are warring with each other, it could be in the premises of the party one, it could be in the premises of party two, or it could be somewhere unrelated to both of these parties. So this is what is about the location, and this location should be free from disruption, and it has to be fully furnished with chairs, tables, blackboard and all those things in case if it is needed, and basic necessities like water or a good coffee or a good lighting is very, very important. And it has to be accessible at all hours, because when the bargaining is going on, we never know when it is going to end. So it has to be accessible to for people to get back to their homes and all that. So this is what is all about the place, the preparation stage. Here, a typical approach for the parties to negotiate over minor issues first. So in the discussion, so the next stage, first is the preparation stage. The next stage is the discussion stage. Now, during this stage, individuals or members of each side put forward the case that they see as their problem. And when they put forward the issues, the negotiator tries to understand what is the situation. So the key skills required during this stage include questioning, listening, and clarifying. So the more questions you ask, the more you listen, you get more clarity about the problem at hand. Okay, sometimes it is very helpful to take notes also during this stage, to record the points, because human mind will tend to overlook certain points. So it's better you have a pen and a paper, and during the discussion stage, you record all the points you put forward in the case, and whichever has to be having more clarity and more clarification has to be noted down. And it is extremely important to listen. First of all, you have to be a patient listener, as when disagreement takes place, it is easy to make the mistake of staying too much and listening too little. So each side of the warring party should be given an opportunity to present their case. And while they are presenting their case, you have to be all ears open to understand what is being told. So this is what in the stage 2 of discussion, where the typical approach of the party, first of all, would be to discuss and deliberate on the minor issues. The rationale being that it is difficult to resolve minor issues if they are left for later stages of discussions. So this is the thing. Then authority to make firm commitments. So the next stage will be the third. So I told you the first stage is the preparation stage, second is the discussion stage, third is the clarifying goals. So from this discussion, the goals, the interests, the viewpoints of both sides of the disagreements has to be clarified. So it is helpful to list these factors in the order of priority. Therefore, through this clarification, it is often possible for the negotiator to understand about the negotiation process, to when I start listing the factors in the order of priority, this will give clarification about the identification, or to find out what is the common ground between the two parties who are warring with each other. So clarification is an essential part of the negotiation process. Without it, misunderstanding are likely to occur, which may cause problems, which may cause barriers in reaching, or will become a hindrance in reaching a beneficial outcome. So the working drafts has to be made before and any clarification with regard to anything that the two parties are making has to be clearly understood at this point, and so that it would aid to in reaching a beneficial outcome. So the party should establish a schedule during the negotiation sessions, time out for concurrences and should be arranged, and for some understanding needs to be established with regard to record keeping. So what are the facts that has been shared, that also should be recorded, and some understanding should also be reached with regard to confidentiality. So the opening of the meeting should be characterized by setting of a proper place. Typically, sometimes the union will also represent the demands of the people, and the set of meetings where the management is present has to have its own initial response, and it has to be submitted with its own demands. So these are the things that happens at the clarifying stage. So we move on to the next stage, which is negotiate towards a win-win outcome. So always the negotiator will aim at giving a win-win outcome. So this stage, this fourth stage, focuses on what is termed as a win-win outcome, where both sides feel that they have gained something positive through the process of this negotiation, and both sides of the parties feel that their point of view was also taken into consideration. It is not at the end of the day that after the negotiation process is over, that one side alone feels that they have been let down and the other side feels as if they have been vindicated. So this should not be the scenario. Rather, it should be a win-win outcome for both of the parties. So win-win outcome is usually the best result. Although this may not always be possible to always have a win-win outcome through negotiation, but it should be the ultimate goal of the negotiation process. So suggestions of alternative strategies, suggestions of compromises need to be considered at this point. And compromises are usually the positive alternatives which can often achieve greater benefit for all concerned compared to holding the original position. So this is something that has to be taken care of, and a negotiation always should be working towards a win-win outcome. So this is very, very important. And the next stage is the settling in stage, that is the agreement stage. So in this agreement stage, first of all, it has to be characterized by a full discussion of each and every issue that is at hand, and a detailed analysis of what is the type of problem that is faced, and what are the case studies of caselets which are available, previous experiences of the same kind of problem, and what is the solution that was arrived at. Everything, those statistics also should be kept in hand. So this agreement can be achieved once understanding of both parties, the viewpoints of the both parties, the interests have been considered. So it is essential for everybody involved to keep an open mind in order to achieve an acceptable solution. So any agreement needs to be made perfectly clear so that both sides know what has been decided. So whatever you decide, whatever is the decision that you take during the agreement stage, during the settling in time, you have to make it known to both the parties who are involved in the course of negotiation. So the next stage is the consolidation, that is implementing a course of action. So what is the course of action that you implement? This has to be again characterized by a fuller elaboration of the positions by each side. So this implementing a course of action is nothing but, from the agreement, a course of action has to be implemented to carry through the decision. Okay, so whatever has been considered and told about the outcome or about the action that both of the parties has to undergo, undertake, that has to be clearly spelled out and both the parties will agree. Suppose in case if there is failure to agree, if one party is not agreeing to the consensus given by the other party, then what happens is the process of negotiation breaks down and agreement cannot be reached at all. So then rescheduling of a further meeting for a later date is called for. So this avoids all parties becoming embroiled in heating discussions or arguments, which not only wastes time but also damages future relationships. So at the subsequent meeting, the stages of negotiation should be repeated again. Any new ideas or interests should be taken into consideration, and the situation should be looked at with a fresh objective mind. The previous meeting or the past meeting should not be spilling over into this meeting. So at this stage, it may also be helpful to look at other alternative solutions to bring in the other person to meditate or to give the or to make him fall in line with the discussion taken by the board. So this is what is the consolidation. Either you implement a course of action that you reached at the stage of agreement, or in case if the other party is failing to agree, then you let the process of negotiation to break down and you reschedule a meeting, another meeting at a different place, and you look at the matter with a fresh mind objectively and take the decision. So this is all about the negotiation process. So the finalization is that whatever it's been told in case of agreement, then it is agreed upon. In case of disagreement, then a new meeting is rescheduled. So this is what is the finalization technique. So the basic negotiation concepts and techniques, every negotiation team should formulate a total plan of action. So 100% the negotiation team should have a total plan of action. Without a plan of action, you cannot get into a negotiation process and attempt to satisfy the need of its own constituencies. So each, that is what I told you, one party should not feel vindicated and other party should not feel let down. You have to ensure that both the parties are at a win-win solution, so that both party thinks and is convinced within themselves that their side of the problem was also known. Apart from this, we also have the informal negotiation. So what is this informal negotiation? There are times when there is a need to negotiate, not in a formal setting, in a formal way, following the stages of negotiation, in a more informal way. So at such times, when a difference of opinion arises, it might not be possible or appropriate to actually go through stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Okay, we set out in a very formal manner. So at the time when informally negotiation takes place, it is called as informal negotiation. So there are some factors that has to be taken into consideration while negotiation is happening. One is, first is the authority. So the first key factor affecting any negotiation is authority. Negotiation may start with deliberation, but to be effective, it has to end in some kind of a conclusion or settlement. So for this, both the parties should have the power or the authority to conclude the deal. Okay, if one party believes that the other party does not have enough of authority required to make a commitment, then the other person will lose his confidence in the negotiating table. Therefore, we have to, lack of authority or lack of ability to stand by settlements actually reduces the effectiveness of negotiation. So you have to understand about the authority that a person is having. Then credibility. Credibility is nothing but trust and mutual confidence. So trust and mutual confidence are very rare and very, very relevant in any process of negotiation. People who are known to be honest, sincere, reliable, and steady have an edge when they enter the process of negotiation. So the question in the mind of a group when the other person speaks is, can we trust this person's perspectives? Can I trust his opinion? Can I trust his statement? So for negotiations to proceed smoothly, the answer to this question must be positive. So this is all about credibility, and credibility comes from one's own knowledge, expertise, track record, and relationships. So it is essential that both the parties have in their terms those people who are perceived to be very credible. And then information. Negotiation often proceeds on the basis of some facts, some figures, past data, future trends. So all these outlook studies, these empirical data and calculations and correlations that you show there has to be a base for that, a source for that. So information to repeat is power. Okay, so the adequate and reliable information about various issues involved should be available. So that is all about information. Then another factor that we have to consider is time. The time frame within which the negotiation should be completed is another important factor that has to be considered, because in the stage of agreement, if you reach agreement, no problem, you are finishing it off on time. But in case if it leads to non-agreement, then you have to go in for another scheduling of meeting. So once the parties have a certain urgency, as a result of which the negotiation process should not be made in a hurry. But on the other hand, the time constraints also should not be should be mindful of, and the negotiating process should not be endlessly being postponed by the parties. Then emotional control. This factor is very, very important during the stage of negotiation. Human beings are rational. and we are also emotional. So every person has his or her qualities of the heart and head. So it is true that in business situations, people take decisions based on thinking and reasoning after a careful evaluation of choices that are before us. Yet, if we scratch the surface, what will happen? We find emotions at play. So good negotiators are aware of the play of emotions and are responsive to them. Apart from assessing the emotional state of the people in the other party, the negotiator should himself display appropriate emotional control, and he has to be, first of all, a master of his emotions. Sometimes it would be appropriate to come strong with forceful points. At that time, you have to be authoritative at that place. So at other times, a soft touch, a whisper also would do. So the idea is, whatever be your position, try to match the emotional furrow of the other party and establish a facilitative ground in order to force in some kind of an outcome. So while a certain emotional awareness is no doubt relevant, there is nonetheless no room for excessive display of emotions in the process of negotiation. So display of emotions unwantedly, or crying or shouting or lamenting, all these things will not work in our favor at all. Then communication skills. This also is very, very important. As we've already noted, negotiation is an intense process where exchange of messages happening. These messages are not necessarily bits and pieces of information. What needs to be shared with others during the process of negotiation could be a complex mix of ideas, attitudes, and even emotions. So the negotiator needs to state, he has to articulate, explain, reason out, and appeal to the warring parties during the stages of negotiation. Or sometimes you will have to maintain silence, even remain silent, depending upon the situation. So good negotiators use silence effectively. Silence is also one form of non-verbal communication, which when used effectively will fetch you rich rewards. So when to remain silent, when to open up and speak, all these are signs of effective negotiation. And effective negotiation calls for not only saying the right things at the right time, but also leaving unsaid what should not be told. So a good negotiator has to have command over the language there, so that the process of negotiation is conducted in a smooth manner. Okay, so these are some of the some of the factors that one has to keep in mind while during the stages of negotiation. That is the communication skills. We saw about the emotional control. Then we saw about emotional control, and then time also is a very, very important factor, because within the time frame one has to complete the negotiation process. It cannot be prolonged endlessly. So that also we saw. Win-win principle bargaining, we saw, where the outcome of the bargain should always be, though it is not practically possible, it is always important to all keep in mind the outcome of having a win-win principled bargaining. Okay, and then we also saw about the information, where the adage information is power is no longer in vogue. Instead, shared information is power is in vogue nowadays. So any information a negotiation actually stands on the foundation of facts, figures, past data, and future trends. So all this information has to be shared with the other people in the negotiating table. And credibility is very, very important, because trust and mutual confidence are very relevant in the process of negotiation. And people who are known to be honest, sincere, reliable are the ones who will be winning the negotiating table. Therefore, credibility, you have to ensure that you have people of credibility who are there in your party. And then the first one is authority. The first key factor affecting any negotiation is authority. Negotiation may start with deliberation, but it is always, for it to be effective, it has to end in a firm statement or a conclusion or a settlement. and with force that settlement has to be applied. And for that, a person needs to know his extent of authority, his autonomy, how much of decisions, how much of instructions he can impose on the warring parties. So if one is undecided about the extent of authority that he is having, then again credibility will become a question mark. So in today's class, we saw what is negotiation. Negotiation is bringing about amicability. It's bringing about a compromise between two warring parties. On the other, while ensuring that there is no argument, there is no dispute between these two parties. So always a negotiation outcome is directed towards a win-win outcome. And we also saw the different stages of negotiation, where we had the first stage is preparation, the second was the discussion, the third was the clarification of goals, and negotiation towards a win-win outcome or win-win agreement, and then implementation of the course of action. So in case if we are not able to implement a course of action, we will be opting for a kind of a informal agreement, or we will be rescheduling the meeting. Thank you for patiently listening.